Today we will be talking about Reselect. Reselect is a library for creating memoized selector functions commonly used with Redux, but it is also used by any plain JavaScript immutable data as well. Selectors can compute derived data, allowing Redux to store the minimal possible state. Selectors are efficient. A selector is not computed unless one of its arguments changes. Selectors are composable, they can be used as input to other selectors. In Redux, a selector is a piece of logic that gets a specific piece of state from the store. Additionally, a selector can compute data from a given state, allowing the store to keep only basic raw data. Selectors are usually used as a part of the binding between the store and the container components. Selectors can be created without the help of a library like Reselect, but using Reselect carries a few benefits in terms of developer experience and performance. Selectors created using Reselect's createSelector function are memoized. That's a fancy word to mean that the function remembers the argument passed in the last time it was invoked and doesn't recalculate if the arguments are same. And reselect selectors can be composed or changed together easily. Moving ahead with the installation, we run the command npm install reselect to install the reselect package. Then we are going to create selector.js file inside our store, and here we are going to firstly import our create selector from reselect, not create store. And next we are going to create a const which is select shop items. It takes state as an input and returns state.shop.items. Next we are going to create a const select tax percent which also takes state and then returns state.shop.tax percent as its output. These are the two selectors that we are going to import inside our app.js for our application to work. So after shop it will be tax percent, and also it will be state.shop.items. Here also state.shop.to tax percent. Next we will create a const which will be select subtotal. This is going to give us the output of our subtotal of whatever items we add in our cart. It is going to use the create selector method, and it takes the parameter of select shop item, and the other argument is items itself. So the items are whatever we will add inside our example here. Then we will pass an arrow function and it is going to return item dot reduce, and we will just get the subtotal of whatever we have, whatever values we input. So here we will add argument subtotal and items, which will give us the subtotal, which is in the addition of all the values. So it will be item dot value, and the second argument is 0. The other constant is named select total. Here we are going to add create selector, not create store. So I realized that later on and I will just correct that. So instead of create store, I will have create selector, and I will also import create selector from reselect. The select subtotal takes two arguments. First is select subtotal that we have created previously, and select tax that we will create right now. So inside that we will add these two arguments, and then we will add two other arguments, that is subtotal and tax. These will be inserted along with our items. So we will calculate the final value using subtotal and tax itself. Here we want to get the output of the total, which is subtotal plus the tags we are adding in our items. So we want that output in select total function. Next we will create the select tags function. So for that we will just copy this statement and we will make some changes in that. So const select tags, and it is assigned to the create selector. It takes arguments of select subtotal and select tax percentage. So we will just copy that and we will change the last statement where we will calculate the tax percentage. So the subtotal is assigned to subtotal into tax percent divided by 100. So that is how we are going to calculate the tax on each item. And instead of tax we will change that to tax percent inside our select tax. After creating our selectors, we will create an example state and we will just see that what is the output that we get. So const example state, it is assigned to a shop which has a tax percentage of 8% and it has a few items inside the cart. The items have a name and they have a value. So that value will give us our subtotal and tax will be calculated on that. First item is apple and it has a value of 1.2. Similarly, you can add as many items as you want. The second one is orange and it has a value of 0.95. Lastly, we will add three console.log statements to see that we are getting the correct output. First one is select subtotal and we will just insert example state there. Next will be console.log select tags. It will also have the same argument example state. And the last one is console.log select total, which will also have example.state. So we should get three outputs. The first one is 2.15, the second one is 0.172, and the total should be 2.322. Lastly, we are going to add our selectors inside app.js. So we will import select shop items and select tax percent from our selector.js, which is present inside the store folder. And I've also added an h1 which displays the topic for today's video. Now if we save the file, then you can see we are getting a console.log of all our items. That is what we wanted. The value is added and then the tax is calculated according to that. So that's it for today.